Hello and welcome to Ferris Sports Update. I'm your host, Rob Bentley, and thanks for tuning in. On today's show, we'll update you on Ferris State football as the Bulldogs continue spring practice drills. We'll check in with men's and women's tennis after a couple home matches this past weekend, and we'll also update you on Bulldog soccer as they are currently amidst their spring schedule. First, though, we'll start with Bulldog football, joined by assistant coach and offensive coordinator Steve Annese. And Coach, welcome to the show.
Appreciate you having me.
Before we get into kind of talking about spring ball, I know the national championship, a few months removed now. What's it been like for the coaching staff just to go out on the road and be the back-to-back national champion?
Yeah, just looking to carry over that momentum from the national championship through recruiting season and into the spring ball. I think sometimes you view that as, something that you got to turn the page. It's on in the new season. We view it as entirely a positive thing, carrying that momentum into the next season. And hopefully, our spring practices are better for it.
I know, obviously, as a member of the coaching staff, you were integrally involved in the recruiting and National Signing Day, and another great class that you guys landed here in February.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We were really happy with how it came together, particularly from, my end, from our offensive skill. I think we got a lot of great players in this class. I think we're going to be, Bulldog fans are going to be really happy to see what we got for the future.
Obviously, into spring drills and spring practice started here in mid-March. Had a chance to celebrate the national championship a few different times, kind of on the eve of spring practice starting.
Yeah. So, the parade was awesome. Had great turnout for it. It was great to get the community involved in that type of celebration. From the community to the other programs within the athletic department. These are really their community wins, their athletic department wins, their Ferris State football wins, but there are way more people involved in a win like that than just Ferris State football.
Obviously, here so far about 8 practices into spring practice, and maybe talk about how the practices have went here early on.
Yeah, so I think we got off to a really good start. We view spring ball as a great time to get young guys involved. So, got a lot of new faces that are getting some of their first real action. With kind of the starters and guys that were on scout teams last fall that ended up getting an opportunity to now compete, and it's been great. It's been a lot of competition, guys running around making plays, so we're really happy with how it's gone so far.
Obviously, you guys had a lot of young guys that played last fall, but how important is the spring maybe for some of those guys that didn't play to try to step up and fill some of those spots due to graduation?
Yeah, it's hugely important. Anytime you turn over to a new season, new team, you're always going to have spots to fill. I think particularly in the defensive backfield, we had a lot of guys that were senior contributors that are, now doing great things, moving on to the next level. And, those are some spots that are kind of up for competition, and those guys have been competing, really well, trying to work to earn an opportunity to start, earn an opportunity on the bus, all the way down. So.
Obviously, here over the course of the spring, as you do sometimes late in the fall during postseason play, had to battle some of the weather elements here early on.
Yeah, we would say it wouldn't be a spring ball in Big Rapids if we didn't get, a few little weather instances. But we had one practice that got a little bit cold, one practice that got a bit rainy, but nothing too bad, nothing we can't handle, and it's going to make us better in the long run.
Obviously, going through the spring and battling weather like that, how important is that as you get ready for the fall and knowing you're going to be outside?
Yeah, definitely a huge mindset thing, right? Every year, when we get into December-style football, we're in the playoffs, we're expecting to play playoff games, and the weather's always a factor. This past year it was the Davenport game at home that was, really snowy. Into the 21 season, it was the Grand Valley game at home that was really snowy. So we always have one a year, and just having that opportunity to face those type of conditions, long-term makes us better. And in some of those games, we've played our best football. So,
is there any areas so far where you've really seen a lot of progress from last season here in the course of the spring?
Yeah, I think particularly I would be remiss if I didn't talk about how well our offensive line was playing. I think there were times last year where, we missed that senior leadership from the 2021 season. This group of young guys got some experience in the fall, but really has taken their game to a whole new level this spring. And I think that group is really coming together and really going to be a strength of our team moving forward.
Obviously, one of the strengths in recent years has been the depth, and certainly the spring a great chance to continue to build some of that depth.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said before, just getting that competition, getting guys, to compete with each other. Iron really does sharpen iron, and as we continue to compete for jobs, you build that depth naturally when your starters are having to compete for their spots and someone else is competing to start. Whoever ends up not winning that job is going to be a great depth guy. So really, that's kind of how the mentality that we take in approaching it, and I think some of those depth guys are, really, really, really good players for us.
Obviously, on the offensive side, you guys are working every day against one of the top defenses in the country, and kind of on the flip side, they're going against one of the top offenses each and every day.
Yeah, exactly. And we talk about that through recruiting, through spring ball, through the whole process. Guys that come here ultimately become so much better for the competition that they get in practice every single day. And this is the time. Ultimately, when you get into games, you're not necessarily you're not getting better, you're not improving through the game, you're improving through practice so that when the game time comes, you can really shine, and all of that competition, all of that skill set that you develop through practice really gets to show.
Obviously, speaking of shining, some guys hoping to hear their names called here over the next few weeks. The NFL draft coming up in late April, and Caleb Murphy, obviously the guy getting a lot of the attention and a chance maybe to be drafted here as a Bulldog.
Yeah, he's been around for the last couple of weeks for practice, so it's great to have him back around. And he's working hard, and all indications are that he's going to get a great opportunity, and hopefully get drafted high. Hopefully to a team that really values the skill set that he brings. And he's a great playmaker, and I know that wherever he ends up, he's going to make great plays for that team.
Obviously, the goal to get a college degree for a lot of these guys, but an opportunity to play at the next level, and certainly with some of these other leagues out there, have a great chance. A couple guys playing in the XFL right now. Sidney McLeod, a recent Bulldog, just signing with the USFL.
Yeah, and that's awesome for Sid. I'm so happy for him. And a lot of these guys, you mentioned a good point that the goal is to get a degree. All of these guys are college graduates. Sidney McLeod is a college graduate. Caleb Murphy is a college graduate. Like, all of these guys are getting their degrees and then giving themselves great opportunities to go, play professional football, play football for, as long as they have an opportunity, and, ultimately they'll move on to be great in whatever avenue they choose. And, those guys are just, they exude greatness. Everything that they do is great. So they're, I believe that they're going to be great in professional football. I believe that they're going to be great in the next step of their life. They're just awesome guys.
Obviously, for the Bulldogs, big weekend coming up here in just a couple weeks. You wrap up spring football with the spring game, April 21st, followed by a national championship ring ceremony the following day.
Yeah, and hoping to have great turnout for that. Our spring game has been really well attended for a couple years now, and that's ultimately a celebration of all the work that we do throughout spring. It's a celebration of our national championship the previous year, but all the work that these guys do on a practice in, practice out basis, and that's the opportunity to really go out and shine, to do something great, and hopefully put on a great show for the community. A community that supported us every step of the way, and we're really appreciative of that.
I know obviously the spring game kind of wraps up the spring drills and the school year, but the work kind of continues for these guys in the off season going into fall camp.
Yeah, absolutely. Those guys will be lifting all the way through the summer. They'll be up here working. We obviously kind of turn a page to recruiting again. Recruiting's kind of a nonstop business, for us in college athletics. But there's never time to kind of pause and take a breath all that much. You're always kind of just on to the next moment.
Well, Coach, thanks for the time, and look forward to the spring game on April 21st.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, and again, appreciate everything that you do. Appreciate everything the community does for us, and hopefully see everyone out there.
We'll be back with more Ferris State action and Ferris Sports Update right after this break.